Thanks, Fiona. You need to have been to the Ironclad Hotel when it's 54 degrees, in the shade. It's incredible. What a fantastic place the Pilbara is, and we're very lucky to be working there. Now, if I had to guess, important notices. I'm obviously not giving you enough time to read them, but you can find them on our website. I suspect I'd be preaching to the converted, and there's a good chance that most of you would know about our Pilbara project. Really big lithium raw materials hub, been in operation now for actually over 2 years. It's gone by in a flash. Some of that represents a lot of hard work and some incredible work by the team setting our plant up for the success that's been generated today, including the acquisition of our neighbours, the former Altura project. We've now renamed that plant. It's a bit of a mouthful, but nonetheless, we are very happy to be calling the plant the Nugajoo plant. And that's an important part of our growth portfolio that I'll come back to a little bit later on. Today I'm going to share some thoughts about where the business is at today, and also some of the important initiatives that we've got underway that represent the next wave of growth for Pilbara Minerals. It's multifaceted these days, so a fair bit to talk to there. The longevity in our project, the scale, the mine life, the location, they've all meant that we've been able to attract some fantastic partners to our project, and we love each of those relationships, and they're very much a big part of both where we've come from, but equally where we're going to over time. The recent acquisition of the former Altura assets was a kind of once in a blue moon opportunity to aggregate the holding at Pilbara and continue to build out the scale and the flexibility in the portfolio of assets, multiple mining locations over something like about 12 to 15 kilometres north to south, 2 processing facilities, similar in style but not exactly the same, and the synergies that start to emerge as you think about the future ore mining profile. And last but not least, the exploration opportunity, because we're far from finished at Pilbara as far as exploration is concerned, and the expectation is that the project is going to get a lot bigger over time. Part of that's being realised there now. In that picture on the right-hand side, we've annotated the South Pit. The South Pit is going to grow. There's no two ways about it. We're on top of some fantastic discoveries down what used to be the former tenement boundary between the two companies, and there is no doubt now that mineralised zone stretches to the east, so to the right of the page, and that's going to represent a big opportunity to grow the combination of, well, everything, mineral endowment, resource, and likely pit inventories over time to continue to build out either the longevity in the project, the scale in the operations, the sorts of things that we can think about as we look to expand what we refer to as the core business, being spodumene production. So, a timely acquisition, and one that we feel was particularly important for the consolidation of those assets. And the scale in the resource and the massive reserve gives us a chance to think about what we can do next as we ramp up production. So this is a representation of what we can do across the two facilities. And there's a couple of things going on here. The first step in yellow/orange there, that's the plant improvement projects that'll take current production, which has been running at nameplate capacity now since early this year, would be revised to 380,000 spodumene concentrate tonnes per annum. And that's the lowest cost, highest value expansion that we could undertake in the short term, especially given where markets have got to and demand is very high. So that work's underway, and that'll commence commissioning during the September quarter. Because there's no fundamental changes to process, it's really about debottlenecking and some operational improvements. We don't expect there to be any particular challenge as we ramp up the capacity between, say, today's 330,000 tonnes per annum up to 380,000 tonnes per annum. The next step is blue. Blue is Nugget-Dew, going back for a restart at the former Altura operations. Now, before we do that, we are time constrained in the sense that we've got some work that we want to do on the facility to make sure that we can get the right recoveries and the right production response from the facility. A lot of that is represented by, a really simple idea. Basically, take the success and intellectual sort of horsepower that's been developed in our facility, the Pilbara plant, and then overlay that across the Nugget-Dew facility. But to do that, there's a little bit of investment and a bit of time in some long lead equipment. What are the sort of things that we're looking to value add at Nugget-Dew? Well, the keys really are, the key learnings that actually came out of our Pilbara facility are all about the flotation reagent regime, the removal of free iron from feed to flotation, balancing the flotation plant for continuity and stability of feed, and then what would be the last one? Just basically the balance or continuity of grind size, looking for the Goldilocks zone for the maximum recovery in flotation. And our team has done an amazing job. I'm really, really proud of what they were able to achieve, especially in the circumstances that we experienced in the last couple of years, really tough market conditions. We now have our Pilbara plant absolutely top of the wazza as far as spodumene operations go. To give you some idea how good it is, IGO declared that in the last round of public disclosure around Greenbushes, they said Greenbushes recovery for an SC6 product is between 65 and 75% recovery. And it's been operating for 25 years. Well, for the last 3 quarters, we've been operating at 72% plus in recovery. So I feel like the team could only be described as doing an outstanding job, because Greenbushes was previously held up as being the show pony of the industry. Well, we reckon we're a challenger. Why not be a show pony? So yeah, the team's doing a fantastic job, and basically the logic is take that same operating model and overlay it at Nugget-Dew, albeit with investment. So that's what's going to happen. A little bit indeterminate in time, but coming. We'd expect to be making an FID over approximately the next 4 to 6 weeks. Down the track, subject to market conditions. So what we're looking for is an incentive price to make capital investments in our facilities, to ensure that our customers are aligned in respect of their demand, and for that matter, that they have the chemical capacity in place, and that we've got some visibility to the what would you call it, the continuity of those pricing outcomes. They're the sorts of things that we're after to then trigger the next round of investment that would take us back to our Pilbara plant, the original facility at Pilbara, and what we can do with that. That was always built for expansion, so it was well laid out. There's land for Africa there. It's a huge facility stretching over 900 metres. There's plenty of room to continue to consider expanding capacity there, so that's where we'll go, ultimately targeting easily 1 million tonnes plus concentrate from the Pilbara operation. But as I said, it's going to be subject to the market conditions that exist at the time. Where are we going to next? Well, there's no simple way to state it other than to say that when you think about the future of lithium raw material supply from the hard rock industry, there are some challenges. There are. It's got to be competitive, and in particular, it's got to be competitive in respect of the carbon footprint in the supply chain. Think of it a bit like, if we were here in 10 years' time and looking at the growth in the European supply chain for lithium raw materials, it seems obvious to me that everyone would look back over this decade and say, that's when the world changed, because we're just not going to tolerate 6% spodumene concentrate being shipped all the way around the world and having to store all these tails in difficult locations where everybody's telling us, don't do it in my backyard. So with that as a backdrop, as an industry, we fundamentally have to change. Pilbara is now well down the path with a couple of key projects that start to change the game for the hard rock lithium industry. The first is that we're looking to change the way the industry currently views calcination. And we've partnered with the fantastic guys at Calix who have developed a particularly special piece of technology that works incredibly well for fines flotation concentrate from the Pilbara project, but arguably from everybody who is producing a fines flotation concentrate. To the point where the calcination is probably better. It's better than the current industry norm if you're dealing with a combination of coarse and fines products with conventional calcination techniques. So to paint a picture for you a little bit more fully, that picture on the left-hand side, it's an aerial view of a classic calcination, a calcine facility. So it's a 50 or 60 metre long steel tube with a jet engine at one end trying to maintain a constant temperature through those 50 metres so that when, an hour later when it pops out the other end as popcorn, you've got something that's very, very good for accessing the lithium that's inside the spodumene. That's the mining engineer's explanation. Now that's problematic because it's not accurate and it's very, very wasteful with energy. In contrast, we have on the right-hand side the Batman reactor. I love it. The Batman reactor is Calix's solution for the fines flotation concentrate. And what it does is it, in effect, flash calcines a fine concentrate in the period of time that the spodumene, the fine spodumene, falls down a heated tube. But the key, the really exciting thing about the Batman reactor is that it's electrified. And if it's electrified, it can be powered with renewable energy. It is a key to the future of the lithium raw material supply chain and taking carbon out. So, really, really key development. And we're looking to exercise that as part of a different solution for the supply chain. Apologies that it starts to get a little bit complex, but what we've tried to do in this slide is basically compare the two models. The sequential pictures at the top of that slide relate to the current supply chain. 6% spodumene concentrates created at the mine and then subsequently dealt with in a chemical facility, wherever that might be. In our case, for the most part, in China. In effect, what we're looking to do to rationalise the supply chain, lower the carbon footprint and minimise the amount of waste that's shipped or that otherwise should be stored where it's best stored, at the mine. We're taking the first half of the chemical conversion facility and we're bringing it to Pilbara using the Calix calcination technique. And it's a game changer as far as the industry is concerned. You create a higher value lithium salt and you ship that product with 96% less waste. And you deal the lithium in that higher value product downstream, closer to the market. And of course, a spin-off for Pilbara Minerals is once you've done that job, you've opened up global markets. You've opened up Europe, you've opened up North Asia, ex-China, you've opened up North American markets with this higher value lithium product. So it's a really substantial change for the industry and one that we feel like we're well down the path to changing as a function of the relationships and the skills that we're deploying in dealing with the spodumene as a raw material feedstock. So a really big change. Last thing I want to touch on, the battery material exchange. And here, again, it's an innovation to open up new channels for sales of spodumene concentrate. A key change that's emerged in spodumene markets, and I can't say I've been in the industry forever, but five and a half years ago when I started, there was a handful of buyers that could buy your spodumene. That handful of buyers has gone to easily 20 plus today. And I can tell you that a lot of them have built facilities without accessing any offtake position, zero. Built chemical facilities, soon to be commissioned, or in some cases actually already commissioning, but without any offtake in place. So we think about how do we best access that market and create competitive tension for what we feel is going to, especially for this next phase of growth, is going to be a seller's market And we think that the best way to do it is to create an auction, an efficient platform to create tension around buying and accessing that spodumene. So the BMX platform is an important innovation, one which Pilbara Minerals is almost uniquely placed to deploy because we have latent capacity, with latent capacity growing in a market where we know there are customers that have heaps of challenges getting hold of product. So the best way to translate that for pricing tension is to create an auction, and we're looking forward to deploying this, and it's coming shortly. So the system's largely been built. We're playing games with it at the moment, but soon to open that up to the world. Lastly, really maybe not such a great attempt, but basically a description of what it is that Pilbara Minerals can be. Strategic plan on a page. In yellow, on the left-hand side, that's our core business. That's manufacturing spodumene and selling that to our offtake customers. But as you step out of the yellow and you're into the grey boxes, we're taking the business into new business. But importantly, typically, we think very strongly value-adding business. So the first of those is taking product down to the battery materials exchange, the BMX platform, and creating a new market, one where we're accessing multiple buyers who we know are relatively short in the market. Then you go towards the right and we're moving further downstream. Vertical integration in the spodumene world makes perfect sense. Because it has all the effects of opening up opportunities all the way through the supply chain. So that's something that we're very, very keen to do, and we've got the production base at Pilgangoora to make that happen. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.